I used to live on a big high-rise in the west side of New York, in the city. And there was an elevator that was always out, never worked. And my kids used to ask me, this is when my kids were younger, the 90s, where does this go? Why is this always broken? So I would make up silly, stupid stories. And one day I said, well, actually, it goes to Wonderland.
I think music theater in general, it's when a story is somewhat fictional or somewhat fantasy involved, it's easier for a choreographer to kind of have the license to create this world where people are joining into song and dance together just out of nowhere. Everybody knows the same words. They're all singing and dancing together. And that to me was the magic of Wonderland that I'm trying to create, that the people on the street hear the music that's happening in the orchestra the same way that the people in the audience do. And I get to play, and it doesn't have to really relate to anything because it can be fantasy. You know, I can have them leapfrogging over each other and we can pretend that that's how they would normally walk down the street.
Alice has to deal with an enormous, tough situation in her real life, with real problems, real family problems, career problems. And, she was a successful writer and she's kind of lost the child in her. And once you do that when you're a writer, you're lost. And in this adventure, she really loses her child, her real child. And so by finding her real child, she gets to find the child in her. In fact, she couldn't find her real child and solve the problems that she has in Wonderland without her own imagination and tapping into the child in her.
So just because this is a fantasy story doesn't mean that we're not still trying to find how someone can apply that to their real life. Because that's really, Alice is maybe how the audience feels. They're real people and she's in this fantasy world. So we still have to combine real and make-believe.
This is a joyful piece. There's a joy in it, in the whole adventure. It has to have a twinkle in its eye, in a way.
Yeah. So for me, my approach was to really try and make the ensemble feel important, and especially with Welcome to Wonderland, it is their job to set up what is this world? How do I immediately understand the zaniness, the kind of manic energy, and where is the joy within that as well, and how can Alice tap into that even though she's scared to death whenever she first walks into it?
I learned last night that we have this amazing cast of very young artists, and I was blown away by the quality of not just their talent, the way they've been taught. First of all, it's such an amazing experience for the kids. They're put into a professional, atmosphere from day one, and there's nothing in the world better than that. My number one influence was the Beatles' Yellow Submarine, and that art design of all the primary colors that was that. It was just so colorful.
My approach is always to try and give the audience who's hearing this song for the first time some kind of advantage, and to me that's in the dancing. So if I can give the rhythm that's in the music that somebody has never heard before a visual, then maybe they're hearing that little trill that they wouldn't have noticed if somebody weren't dancing on it. And so to me it's always highlighting the musicality.
The first two little couplets of lines that Jack Murphy wrote on the song Finding Wonderland is, we move too fast, we miss so much. The whole show is in that, because we take life for granted. We always are moving so fast. We got to deal with the realities we deal with in this crazy, fragile world that we live in, and we miss a lot because of that. And so if there's a lesson, it's not to miss it. That Wonderland is in our own lives every day.
For me, it's never about tricks or perfect lines or what people can do with their bodies or throwing it to the back of the house. It's about creating a world that people want to lean forward in their seats.
And I hope they want to see it again and again and again.
I'll always come back anytime.
So the whole journey, the whole adventure has been a wonderful thing.